If one is visiting Los Angeles, aside from La Brea, what are some other good paleontology sites?
Oh, that's a great question. We have a bunch here. I would recommend, if you're not afraid to get out of the city, and if you have the patience of a saint that allows you to sit on freeways for an ungodly amount of time, I have three recommendations. My
Okay.
first would be the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History, just because it's a fantastic little museum. They have a great little paleontology display. And that's also where the pygmy mammoth that they found on Santa Rosa Island, that's where it's on display and it's completely mounted. It's a sight to behold. So the Santa Barbara Natural History Museum in Santa
Okay.
Barbara, phenomenal. It's the American Riviera. And then you have the Raymond Alf Museum. So when you're at the Raymond Alf Museum, I highly recommend checking out Baby Joe. They have a Parasaurolophus, a baby Parasaurolophus. So that's a hadrosaur, duck-billed dinosaur, with a crest on the back of its head. And this dinosaur is completely articulated. And they found it in the Kaparowitz, in the same area I used to work on my second internship. And yeah, so a 77 million year old baby articulated Parasaurolophus skeleton. I actually just got back from a world tour in Japan, so
Whoa.
I would highly recommend it. And then last but not least is the Western Science Center. Now it's in Hemet, which is way the fuck out of the LA area. It's out in what we call the Inland Empire, but it's really even farther out than that. It's in Riverside County. It's out there. But this museum is phenomenal. They have some dinosaurs that they've dug out of New Mexico. They actually have multiple holotypes on display. So this museum has been responsible for finding new species of dinosaurs in New Mexico. Not only that, but they have all of the remains from the Diamond Valley Project, which was the construction of this reservoir in Hemet that actually helped them find one of the largest Ice Age bone beds in all of California. And what they've done is use that as an opportunity to build one of the best natural history museums in Southern California, or in the country, really. And I highly recommend visiting. You can actually get collections tours, and everything there is truly stunning. They have one of the best representations I've seen of artifacts collected from our not artifacts, but fossils collected from our public lands. And their artifact displays are actually one of the only museums I've seen here in California that correctly illustrates how the indigenous peoples here actually lived. So I am a huge fan of the Western Science Center. They have helped me do a lot of work over the years since I've been here. I go there, I process sediments. I've been in the collections. Leah Collins, their curator and lab manager, she's just fantastic. And they're really leading the way when it comes to hiring Gen Z people and getting the youngest people involved in paleontology. Not only that, but they're training, high schoolers and even middle schoolers in field methods, in scientific, specimen processing, and all of the different stuff that goes into working as a paleontologist. So when these kids graduate high school, they'll actually be trained in fossil preparation. They'll be trained in fossil prospecting, and they'll be ready to go into their careers with a background that many of their peers don't have. So yeah, those three museums, I mean, they're really doing great. But the Western Science Center, fantastic. You can't go wrong with the the Natural History Museum of LA County too. It's like the American Museum of the Smithsonian or the Field. It's just, it's a lot like the Field Museum.
Okay.
The Field Museum's a little bigger, but this one's, it's really good.
Interesting.
But you should also check out the Getty Villa while you're here, because what it is a reconstructed J. Paul Getty, who's this big oil magnate in Los Angeles. And of course, LA it was built off of oil. I mean, we've all seen the pictures of Venice Beach with all the oil derricks. Anyway, this guy used all this money to reconstruct a palace brick by brick from Herculaneum, from Pompeii and Herculaneum. And he has a completely reconstructed Roman villa that houses one of the best Mediterranean art collections in the world. So if you're ever in Santa Monica or Pacific Palisades and you want to feel like a Roman centurion, I highly recommend going to the Getty Villa and just standing in their garden. They've actually had paleobotanists come in and determine which plants they should plant in their garden to best represent what Romans would have had in their house. So
Wow.
yeah, that museum is really something else. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, Los Angeles has the third most museums of any city on earth after Moscow and Paris. So, you know, you could
That is
really
a fun
say a lot.
fact.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Of course, it's the entire LA metro area, of course, but still. And they're from all different topics, from modern art to paleontology
Yeah.
and everything in between.